Good morning, my name's Mike McCoy. I'm the owner of Snake Brand Guides, and I wanted to share with you a very effective fly that was shared with me by John Romer of Arizona Simiseal. This fly is a reaper, and it's used wherever there are large fish in the double-digit range. So we're going to just do a slight base wrap here. So now we've got a base wrap over the bend of the hook there.
And what hook are you using, Mike?
This is a Dohiko streamer hook in a size 10. I'm going to bring my thread back and let it just hang. I'll take some 20 thousandths lead, and I'm going to do 10 turns of 20 thousandths lead. Okay, we've got 10 wraps of the 20 thousandths lead. We've left room for our whip finish at the eye. Now I'm going to take some 30-pound monofilament. I'm going to tie it in right on top of the hook next to the lead, and this is going to be a support for our reaper tail. And the reaper tail articulates and hinges, but with this monofilament underneath it doesn't allow the hinging to collapse the tail. So I'm going to trim this off about 1/8 of an inch beyond the bend. I've wrapped it on top, and now I'm going to do some wraps underneath so it will always be parallel. Okay, let's take a little super glue and we'll just put that on those thread wraps and a slight amount on the lead. We'll now take our reaper tail and mount it on top, and I'm going to terminate my thread wraps right out at the edge, start of the bend. I'm going to come back and trim off the end of the reaper tail. And now we're going to use Simiseal in a red-black, which is one of the favorite colors of most of the Canadian tires. We'll take a little wax here and just put it on the thread to allow it to just hold the dubbing end ever so slightly. We're just barely touching the wax to the thread. Take my little shepherd's hook here. We'll create a dubbing loop. Then I'll advance it back toward the tail and then bring the thread back up. I pull out my Arizona Simiseal in the red-black, and I put a sparse amount for the first application, a slight bit more because I want this to have some taper in the body. And then I'll put in the last amount here. We'll spin this. Okay. this particular fly has produced some very large browns that just happen to love the motion of the tail. And one other thing that we're going to incorporate now, a new element, is the Atomic Glow by Al Wood. And he's in Vancouver, Washington. Very good friend of mine, and I'll tell you, I've created some flies with his material that have caught double-digit triploids, and it is extremely effective. So I will take the Atomic Glow, I trim it on a very slight angle, I tie it in, and with the shiny side toward me, now I'm going to wrap the glow material in side-by-side wraps. And when this is energized in the sunlight, it'll hold its color and light for, I would suggest, perhaps down to 10, 15 feet or more. One of my fly fishing buddies told me about fishing a particular fly at over 20 feet deep, and he caught fish consistently on this material. We're going to tie several of these today using different options, but I put this hot spot here 2/3 of the way up the hook. I once did some flies that my buddy was headed to Portugal for international competition, and I tied 6 nymphs with the Atomic Glow and with peacock rib in it. And the fly that I had on my line, I was stripping line on my stripping basket on my pontoon, and just getting ready to cast, and the fish came and ripped that fly off before I could even cast it. So now we've done a slight amount of the red-black in the head here. The main thing, one of the important things is mobility of materials. Translucency is important, but movement. And these big browns, they're looking for, a large meal. And so this particular fly with the Atomic Glow is just going to make these fish really aggressive. And there we are, it's glowing in the dark. So that fly has now been energized. To set it on the side of your pontoon and let Mother Nature's sun energize it, and you will be catching some humongous fish.